Hello, everyone, and welcome to the RV Inspection and Care podcast and video. I'm Dwayne, and I'm a certified RV inspector, and today we're going to be talking about full-time RV life. Is it heaven or is it hype? Well, there are lots of YouTube channels out there that portray full-time RVing as a permanent vacation. Nothing but non-stop fun and adventure. And then there are lots of other channels that are all about drama. It seems like these folks have a major life catastrophe happen to them almost every week of their life. Well, what's the reason for all of these kinds of extremes on YouTube? It's only one thing: to get you to tune in as a subscriber. The channels that are telling you that it's just nonstop fun out here on the road, they want you to daydream along with them. Even though it's not real, it's a daydream. Then the other channels that are all about drama, well, they're kind of like a car accident. You know, when you're going by, you don't want to look, but it seems like you just have to because you're curious. Well, that's what they know. And so they want you tuning in every single week for their benefit. So what's the truth about RV life then? Well, in my opinion, a whole lot of what you see online is not necessarily the way things really are when you're living and traveling in an RV. And that's because for most people, life is neither nonstop fun and adventure or constant catastrophe. In fact, for a lot of people, life is very much repetitive. And you know, that's the case, really. And life on the road is actually sort of similar to that. It's often filled with very normal stuff. Things like cleaning and doing laundry and running errands and cooking meals and all those sorts of things. Now, none of that is glamorous, is it? And so people are not going to tune in to see those things being done. But honestly, that is what is often being done in full-time RV life, more so than maybe anything else. Now, if you've been on my channel or subscribed to it for a while, you know that I try to give you my honest opinions about pretty much every subject. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to give you the pros and the cons of life on the road in an RV. We're starting our 4th year, and I think we've got a pretty good handle on it at this point. So we're going to go ahead and start with the pros first. And the number one pro is what attracts a lot of people to full-time RV life, and that is freedom. Freedom to go where you want. Not having somebody tell you where you have to be. If you don't like where you are, you can just pick up and go somewhere else. And that's really nice. A lot of people enjoy that. Pro number 2 is you can also go and see beautiful places. Places you always wanted to go. Things you always wanted to see. But you couldn't because of time or circumstance or whatever. Well, now you can not only go there, you can spend time there. You can get to know it. You can really absorb it well. And that is a big pro. Pro number 3, you can go and visit family wherever they may be across the country. These days, you know, family can often be fractured in geography. They can be almost anywhere across the country. And it's hard to maintain close relationships when you're not nearby. So RV life allows you to go there and spend time without staying in their home. They have their home, you have your home. They have their life, they're still living, you have your life. But when you get together, you can have a great time. You can enjoy each other's company. Well, that's a wonderful provision of being able to travel by RV and take your home with you. The next pro is that you can stay in good weather as much as you want. Do you hate really hot weather? Do you hate cold weather and snow and ice? Well, no problem. There's almost always a temperate spot or area in the country where you can take your RV and go enjoy it there. So more days of your life are filled with good weather, and that can make your outlook on life better. The next pro is that you have a lot less housework and chores that you have to do due to having a smaller living area. These days, a lot of people live in 3,000 square feet or even more. Well, what if you condense that down to 300 square feet? I think you can see that your chores would be a lot less. They can be a lot quicker and no yard work. So you don't have to do any of that. Well, what does that mean? It gives you more time for doing things you want to do. And that's a great thing. The next pro is that it keeps you active. It keeps you engaged with life. If you're staying in one place and you're never expanding your horizons, sometimes that can get very discouraging and depressing. But if you're on the move, you stay active, you get engaged, you learn new things, you're involved in new activities. Those are all very good things for your mental outlook. All right, now, those are the pros that I wanted to cover today. But that doesn't mean that every day out here on the road is just a wonderful party. No, there are cons. Let's talk about some of the cons now. Number one, something, somewhere is always going to need to be repaired or maintained on your RV. And take it from me, I have a real list of things that I go down to repair or to maintain. And the truth is, I never, ever get to a point where I've got everything done. Because as soon as I've got something done, something else comes up. It's just to be expected because you've got lightweight homes going down the highway, being subjected to earthquake forces. Well, things are going to break. Things are going to get loose. You're going to need to maintain them a lot more often than you do your stationary sticks and bricks home. The second con, there's no continuity in life when you're out on the road. What do I mean? Well, everything changes every time you move. When you're at home, you know where your favorite places are to go for groceries, for pharmacies, for fuel stations, and so on. You know exactly where you like to go, even the places you like to go to eat. But every time you move your RV, all of that changes. And you've got to find out all over again where the best places are for you. And sometimes they're not very convenient. Sometimes you have to travel 30 to 45 minutes to get where you need to go to get what you want. So it is a challenge. Continuity does not exist when you're out on the road full-time RVing. The next con is that it's harder to maintain relationships with other people when you're on the road. When you're staying with family, well, then it can be pretty easy. But when you leave and you're traveling, well, you're probably not going to know a lot of the people that you meet out there. And so it can be difficult for some people, especially those that really crave some relationship building and that kind of thing. Well, it can be a real challenge. In fact, one of the things that I've often learned from speaking to people who full-time RV is that there is a certain sense of loneliness at times because of not having good relationships with people when you need it. Family, friends, things along that line. So it's something to consider. The next con is that you're going to be in a small space with someone else if you're a couple. And when I say small space, remember, we're talking 300 square feet. And you better love them. You better really like getting along with them because there's nowhere else to go. And it can be a real challenge. In fact, some couples that get along fine at home in a regular house, when they get out on the highway and they're forced into this really small area, sometimes they find it can get very difficult. Things just seem to get on one another's nerves and so on. So it could be a con for you. The next con is health matters. When you're at home and you have like some chronic health issues that need attention regularly, well, you have your support system of doctors or maybe chiropractors or acupuncturists or people along that line. When you're out on the road, finding a doctor that you can trust, one that takes your insurance, can be a challenge. But what about others? Dentists. That can be a challenge out on the road. And not only just for you, what about your pet? Finding vets for them. Every time you move your RV, it's another challenge to find this support system. So it can be a con. The final con we want to talk about is RV breakdowns. RV breakdowns can happen anywhere, anytime, and that's always in the back of your mind for many people. And when it happens, it's very stressful because now you're going to have to get it repaired. And sometimes the facilities are not close. Sometimes they're going to charge you an exorbitant price. What are you going to do while they're fixing the RV? How are you going to handle your living area then? There's all sorts of challenges that goes along with a breakdown out on the road that you would not have when you're in your sticks and bricks home. Because if something breaks, well, you've probably got a way to get around that there at home. Out on the highway, it's a challenge. And it can always be a worry, too, that's in the back of your mind. So it can be a con. All right, now that's my list of pros and cons that I wanted to cover with you today. It's not by any means the full list. It's just the ones that I think can get the conversation started more in a realistic direction, more realistic than what you see depicted in many YouTube videos these days. And my advice is be realistic about what to expect. If you're realistic, then things that happen that aren't so great are not going to really upset your apple cart nearly as much. So I recommend do your homework, weigh the pros and the cons. It's not a bad idea to actually rent an RV for a while and just take off for a little bit and kind of sample the life first before you actually go out on the road. But whatever you do, think carefully. If you do and you prepare well, then you can make the decision that's best for you, decision that you will be happy with. Well, that's it for now. Have safe and happy travels, my friends. Until next time.